What's up, everyone? It's Crispy, and today we're gonna react and kind of dissect some early access Aventurine gameplay. Shout out to Braxophone. We're gonna be checking out his video. Earlier in his video, he gave permission to react and everything. I was gonna DM you on Twitter, brother, if you're watching this, but can't DM you. Sorry. So I hope this is cool. All right, let's get started. Let's see what's going on.
Your entire team with his ultimate. Super nice utility to have. It basically is giving you more effective HP for having him in the team. This can be better than healing sometimes because healing is good for battles of attrition, battles that might go long. But when you get to endgame, a lot of endgame is you getting one shot or put on life support in one hit. And shield.
Okay, and to his point right there, he's talking about Aventurine and Japard, how sustaining with shielders are good for endgame. My account, I can't complete Memory of Chaos because I have no sustainment. The only sustainers I have are freaking Lynx, Natasha. I have Gallagher, he's not built, and Bailu's not built, and no Japard, no shielders besides Fire MC. So I do get one shot a lot. I do get hit pretty heavy. My account is mostly DPS, so I'm really looking into Aventurine. And I'm dissecting a lot of videos, trying to check it out. So for free to play or people who have no sustainment, Aventurine I think is a pretty good pickup. Let's go into it and see what else we can get from here.
Prevent you from getting to that point in the first place. The preservation units are very good for endgame. Typically,
you
want to run on the overworld and not heal for a while. And bringing an abundance character is nice because then you don't have to go back to the teleports or anything. But the reason that I call Aventurine Japard premium is because Aventurine basically does what Japard does, but much better. Because he can do it on his skill and on follow-up attack, which is very...
So on Aventurine's skill,
very easy to trigger. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm playing on this free-to-play craftable light cone Destiny threads for Woven. Basically, this just gives damage dealt for having defense, and it gives...
Also, one good thing with Aventurine is you don't really need his light cone. You can use almost any other light cone for sustainer or abundance.
You effect res. Now, this light cone, in my opinion, is not even super good for Aventurine. I mean,
so many other options,
is
and
nice
that's what I'm leaning towards and what I love. Because I don't have a lot of Jade right now. I only have about like 70 pools. I'm going to grind 2.1, get more Jade. Hopefully have at least a pity by the end of it. And I won't need to pull for the light cone. I can use others that I currently have, which is fantastic. If you don't need to pull for a light cone, in my opinion, it makes that character so much more worthwhile.
Not getting a defense bonus, and
spending Jade is just, it can really F you up sometimes.
One that's going to be a little bit better. That's going to be Concert for 2. This one gives defense and also gives damage bonus for every character on the field that has a shield. This is probably going to be his best 4-star option, but I'm using the free-to-play one just for comparisons. Right now, before we go into testing, I'm just going to show you guys this build real quick.
Eventually, obviously scaling off of defense.
So 2 defense pieces. Let's see how strong
like 3 to 4K defense, preferably 4K, so you can get a
so boom, right off the bat, you can see that we have some pretty strong shields on us. In fact, if we go look at this, we have 1402 for our shield.
Straight up, as soon as you start out, 1400 shield. That's dope.
That is a lot of extra effective HP, and that's just for entering battle. There's actually a trace that he has that makes it so when you enter battle, regardless of whether or not you use this technique, you actually are getting this shield, which is super.
The shield is also at max 10 out of 10 trace.
Nice. But as it turns out, the shield so keep that in mind. All. And let me show you what I'm talking about.
50%, if it's at 8 out of 10, it's at 40, I believe.
The shield to your team, and his skill shield can actually stack basically twice. Watch this. Boom, everyone
scaled. Or
gets more shield now. If we look at our shield, 2337. So everyone on our team now has 2337 shield based off of one skill usage and entering battle with Aventurine. That's
He's looking pretty good for my account.
That is a really good.
My account is like full DPS. I'll show you all after at the end of this video.
Shield. And at the low cost of a skill point, as opposed to waiting a couple turns to try to get your ultimate up with Japard in a panic, when enemies are constantly slapping you and then they all target one character that's not Japard, because why would they target a preservation and then that character is dead? So yeah, none of these characters are taking damage anytime soon. You don't have to worry about that at all. So let me go over what Aventurine actually does with you guys real quick. Basically, Aventurine has these stacks, as you can see in the bottom left. Aventurine sort of double dips into sort of DPS classes where he has this really powerful shield, but he also can dish out a little bit of extra damage that helps clean up fights. Now, honestly, you don't even have to use him for that. You could just make him a shield bot and he would still be one of the best sustainers in the entire.
If you're getting Aventurine for DPS, don't fucking do it. Straight up.
game so far based on my
sustained
testing that I've done over the past couple hours. But the fact that he
And
does it is a
Braxophone
very
is
nice thing for hunt
reiterating that.
characters because hunt characters are single target damage dealers. And if you have tiny enemies that have a little bit less HP, if Aventurine can be the one to take care of those.
Aventurine works really well with a Topaz or a Doctor ratio, a single target DPS with follow-ups. Aventurine,
then your hunt characters can focus down the main boss while this guy takes care of the ads.
That's where he thrives.
So what Aventurine basically does is with these 7 stacks that he can get here, he can actually hold up to 10 stacks, but it activates on 7. He activates a follow-up attack that hits 7 times randomly, single target damage. It can hit any enemy. It's just 7 random hits, and the random hits are decent damage. They're not insane, and I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea. The damage that Aventurine's doing is not so crazy that it's going to drastically alter the amount of DPS output your team has. It's going to be more than other preservation, other abundance characters, but it's not going to be game breaking. The value of Aventurine, in my opinion, is not the extra damage to the boss. Like I said, it's the damage that you're going to deal to all of the ads. So how do you get stacks for Aventurine? Well, basically, anytime a character on your team gets hit, he gets a stack, but also anytime he gets hit, he gets a stack. So if he gets hit, you actually gain 2 stacks when he has a shield up. And if your allies get hit, he also gains 1. He also has a trace that makes it so when your allies hit a follow-up attack, he gains another stack that only works 3 times between every use of his follow-up attack. But you'll see this here when I go ahead and use Topaz's ultimate here. I'm actually going to ignore Ruan May's stuff just because I don't want to insta-kill everything, but I'm going to go ahead and attack this dog, right?
See, it's at 2 out of 7. There's a follow-up
We get
twice.
an extra stack from Topaz's follow-up attack, which is our basic attack, and from Numby, which is going to be another follow-up attack. Topaz is one of the best partners for Aventurine, which is...
Yeah, it looks like Topaz is dope as hell for Aventurine.
Really funny. Government workers working together. And now, if only they could solve society's problems. But these enemies are going to attack us next. He's going to get stacks, and when he gets us...
The thing is, this doesn't help my account because I don't have Topaz. I just started playing the game again at Acheron's release. I quit after Kafka because my pulls were ass, and I was like, Gotcha is really screwing me, and I was super salty. Go ahead, flame me. Go ahead. It is what it is. My Doctor ratio also isn't built. I do have him. He's just not built.
7 stacks, he's going to dish out some damage. He's at 8 now. He's going to use 7 of them, have 1.
That's nice. He can overstack. He can put it in the bag and bring it out. So if you have 8 out of 7, or you have maybe, I don't know how much it overstacks, you can get those and keep it going. That's good that it doesn't reset or cap at 8 or 7.
We don't have Ruan May buff up, and we're using a free-to-play light cone. He's gaining stacks rapidly. He's already back at 4 stacks, which is pretty crazy. And we'll go ahead and use Ruan May buff this time around so you guys can see what sort of damage he's able to actually do.
And Ruan May is just going to absolutely make him thrive, or Doctor ratio thrive. Look at that.
Okay, yeah, we're fine. So now he's going to drop all the coins.
16K, okay.
Nothing super crazy, right?
Like I said, he's not there to be your DPS. He can help out a little bit, but he's there for that double shield.
As you can tell, the damage is not so significant that it's going to be game breaking. But here's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and use his skill again, stack up shields even more, because remember, one of the best things about Aventurine is that it can stack up shields. If you're curious how much, he can stack up basically 24% of his defense plus 320 at talent level.
That's why you want his defense as high as humanly possible, because you want your shield scaling to stack. Oh no, shit! You want your shields to scale off of how high your defense is. Stacking. The more shields you're going to be able to get.
The shield effect can basically stack to be about 200% of the original power. So this is double what he was going to have before. Let's go and use his ultimate. Dope. His ultimate is single target, and it's going to give him anywhere between 1 and 7 stacks. Let's see if we get lucky. We are gambaing.
He said gambaing.
And it looks like we gained 3 stacks, did 10k damage to him. But the one thing that is consistent across the board is, well, first off, that guy's gonna take a lot of damage himself, get 10 stacks, 20k damage, and then the follow-up attack from Topaz. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything crazy.
The follow-up teams are gonna be lit for this. It's gonna be cool.
Is that these guys are shielded, and they don't have to worry about anything. Now, you might not think this is much, because this is an MOC. I'm basically just showing you what he does, but I will show you MOC in a bit. There's only a couple more things we have to talk about before I can show you. Basically, his talent is one of the best talents for a supporting character, in my opinion. Whenever a character has Fortified Wager, which is his shield, by the way, if you guys are wondering, they gain 50% effect resistance at talent level 10. It does take level 10. 50% effect resistance is crazy, by the way. If you guys were wondering how much that is, you are going to not be CC'd very often. It's a very, very strong buff. So there's a couple things I want to talk about.
50% is a lot. I mentioned
this already, so if I did, forgive me. But whenever he launches his follow-up attack, his 7 stacks, or consumes the 7 stacks, stacks, he gives another stack of shield. Now the shield is not actually as strong as the initial one. Provides all allies with a fortified wager that can block damage equal to 7% of his defense plus 96. If you're wondering, his skill is 24 plus 320. So it's not an insane amount, but because it can stack to be up to 200% of the original shield strength whenever you cast a skill, it does just add more shield. Now you might be wondering, Brex, well, you've said all these awesome things about him and you showed us his damage. It doesn't actually look that good. Is that because he's split scaling? The answer is no. He's not actually split scaling at all, because all of his damage scales off of defense. But then if you look at his talents and his traces, basically once he has 4,000 defense, he gets a crit rate buff of 48%. So by default, this guy can have 53 crit rate just for you having enough defense on the character, which
don't worry about his crit rate. Don't worry about his crit damage. Worry about his shields. Period.
means that he's probably going to be critting about half the time by default without any crit rate substats.
It is cool to crit half the time though.
While having a DPS focused build is a little bit tougher, and his damage is going to be reduced a fair bit. However, those shields are juicy, and he doesn't have split scaling, which is super nice. And the very last thing that I wanted to quickly tell you guys about is his ultimate. I already went over that it does a little bit of damage, and it rolls 1 to 7 points of, or 1 to 7 stacks for him. The other thing it does is it actually debuffs an enemy and increases crit damage dealt to that enemy specifically. This dog that we hit earlier has unnerved on them. Increases crit damage by allies to this unit by 15%. So this is where your follow-ups from your doctor ratio, or your attacks in general, from your doctor ratio, your topaz, or whoever that you're following up with, or your main DPSs on the team, he's also going to add a little bit of a debuff to the enemy. Whoa, okay. Okay. So he can not only give you shields, but also help out with your DPS's crit damage. Good to know. Good to know. My allies to this unit by 15%. It's not game breaking, but it is a crit buff, and we will take those. Before I show you guys what
exactly, it's not game breaking, but we take all we can get, right? Any percentage up is something.
With high investment and free-to-play investment damage-wise, let me just show you sort of shield strengths with a free-to-play light cone based on different relic setups. Right now, I have crit damage, defense, imaginary damage, defense. Then we'll try defense, defense, imaginary damage, defense, and then full defense. Keep in mind, guys, there's different sets. You can play like the follow-up set if you want to. You can play something with imaginary damage. That's totally fine. Aventurine is going to be one of the more flexible characters, a character that you can build a ton of different ways and still get a lot of value out of. But all right, let's go to Memory Chaos. And
I think the best way to build him, in my opinion, would be just like
let's look at that shield strength. I'm not going to be activating his technique, which I haven't told you guys yet, but it basically increases his defense by a random amount because
let your DPS run DPS.
We love Gamba here. We absolutely love it. I want to see shield strength without that extra defense buff, just because it is really insane. You see, everyone gets shield right off the bat. We are at 1286. I'm going to go ahead and pull him forward. And as you can see, we skill again. Very nice. Very nice. Wow, very cool. And we are at 2144. 2144. This is pretty good. This
at the start of battle.
Free-to-play crafted light cone that doesn't
free-to-play crafted light cone, like he says. S5.
Even have defense
keep that in mind,
right? So this is like your worst case scenario. You can get up to 2144 shield with a crit build. Now with that said, we can get higher. If you drop the crit damage build, you drop a little bit of damage, you go defense instead, we can get up to, oh god, we're just short of getting an extra 2 crit rate. It's fine. It's fine. It is.
By extra crit rate, he means getting your defense to 4,000. Once you get 4,000, you get that extra crit rate bonus.
What it is. Let's just check out that shield. And right off the bat, 1449. Let's see what happens when we go ahead and use his skill. Again, free to play S5 light cone. This is your worst case scenario. 3 defense and imaginary damage. And we're looking at 2415. 2415 is...
That's a pretty good shield.
It's pretty insane, dude.
It is.
All right, and now let's run Horde defense with the defense set with the free-to-play light code.
There's
we're over
the 4,000. He's at 4,186.
So we do get the max crit rate bonus. Our damage is probably not going to be fantastic, but that's okay. We're just checking out shield right now. Right off the bat, 1589, man.
1,500 shield starting out. Wow, chef's kiss.
Holy! Use a skill. And 2649. So yeah, this is like 2/3 of his HP bar, basically. For most characters, you're sitting over half. Doctor Ratio, you almost have his entire HP bar covered. Bro is living.
That's crazy. I've never seen a shield that high. Holy shit.
His best life right now. And that is the power of Aventurine. E0 free-to-play Aventurine. Even without him doing damage. He's such a solid shield support that you're probably not even going to have to worry about taking damage to begin with. It's going to be very rare that you actually are put into a position where you're low HP, like, okay, maybe like Swarm Disaster, right? But realistically, you get buffs there too, so it shouldn't even be that big of a deal. And lastly, just for fun, let's take his S1 Light Cone. Just for fun, a Light Cone at S1 with a crit damage, imaginary damage build, and he has 1591.
And so this is his signature Light Cone, I believe.
That's your best free-to-play option versus your best paid option, or I guess you can still get it free-to-play if you want. But there also is the Gacha Light Cones. If you do happen to get the Gacha Light Cone S5, the new one that has a little baby Sunday on it, that one's also going to be his best 4-star option in total. Yeah, 2652 with a signature with a crit damage and imaginary damage. So we only have 2 defense stats there. But this is the Light Cone I was talking about.
I'm loving the shield. I'm loving it.
Increases where
the only thing I'm hating is that my account personally, no Topaz, Doctor Ratio isn't built, and Jesus God, my Acheron still isn't even finished, so I'm on the struggle bus, y'all.
His defense by a certain amount. This is S5, so it's gonna be 32% defense, and increases damage dealt by the wearer based on how many shields you have on the field. 3,400 defense with only 2 defense pieces on, so it's a pretty good option. But all right, I'm gonna take you through an MOC run, and you guys can decide for yourselves if you guys think he's a good sustainer or if he's worth building. Cozy.
This is his free-to-play Light Cone and crit build.
I don't know how many he got.
This is where he's going to be doing a little bit of DPS, I believe.
He's adding like an okay amount of damage. It's pretty okay. Again, rule on May's shield is low, and I just want to make sure that she's safe all the time, and we don't need the skill point.
You have Topaz out there.
We are chilling. We're going to go ahead and use the skill again. Basic attack, 6 stacks, 7 stacks.
Going to be the 3 best friends that anyone could ever have.
24k.
Straight up.
102k, Doctor Ratio follow-up, Memory Blessing. Yeah, dude, this is crazy, man. As long as we crit this, it's over for him. And there you go. And we cleared that before cycle 27, so that wasn't too bad. I think we could do better. But keep in mind, guys, that was, like I said, that was a free-to-play Light Cone. But considering how strong his shields are and
Let's get some final thoughts.
It's not reducing the damage your team takes. It's like...
Let's go right here.
There with Yenching, his biggest
I wish there were timestamps.
Take damage, otherwise bro just like dies, falls over, and it becomes a piece of wet paper. So Aventurine is good for that too, and also Yen King follow-up attack. So like, you know, Topaz, where you at? So I think Aventurine is meant to be the hunt protector, the protector of hunt. But he also works in virtually any team as your sustainer. Versus Fushuan versus Japard. Well, Japard and him, like I said, Aventurine is Japard premium. Aventurine can't freeze enemies though, so I guess if that's a thing that you're doing, if you're running like Dissociation Remembrance buff, you know, Japard's good for that, which is nice. And Japard, if he gets unlucky and gets one shot, he just gets back up because he is God's chosen princess. But Fushuan is a different story. So Fushuan is sort of a weird preservation character because, like I said, she's pseudo abundance, pseudo harmony. She takes damage for other characters, but she doesn't have a shield. And you'll see this if you go play high-level Golden Gears, that Fushuan can absolutely like run over and stomp. That's why a lot of people play Japard and Fushuan, or just...
I wish I had Fushuan. Jesus. Why'd I have to quit playing
Japard? Because a lot of times Fushuan can get like one shot in Swarm. Or not even in Swarm, in Golden Gear specifically.
I haven't even... I thought, never mind.
Calling Fushuan bad, it's just that she's not a shielder, right? Aventurine is a shielder. She does prevent some of the damage your team takes, and she does pseudo-sustain. Aventurine just fully prevents your team from taking damage. It's not reducing the damage your team takes. It's like you basically take no damage. Like I think I took 200 damage on my Ruan Mei. And keep in mind, that's like doable for free-to-play players. And now in comparison to abundance characters, your Locha, your Bailu, your Hoho, you know, Hoho adds energy gain and attack buffs, which is super nice. And she's still going to be really good in a lot of teams. But if you compare him just to like abundance characters in general, abundance characters are good for battles of attrition where you're getting slowly chipped away at, but not one shot. Because if you get one shot, if you have 4k HP and something does 4100 damage, Locha can't protect you from that.
That is true. Completely facts. So if you're running abundance, yeah, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. That is a really good point.
Speaking, Bailu can,
except Bailu, yeah.
The shield is basically extra HP on top of your normal HP pool. So.
And that's a good way to put it too. The Doctor Ratio had 2900 max HP. What was it? 27, 28 on the shield. Basically add that as HP. It's like 40 something or 5,000 or you'll know.
If you are getting one shot, Aventurine can prevent that. But considering how strong his shields are and how easy they are to put up, it's like you just never get, like even if they're doing chip damage, you're never going to run out of shield. So I almost feel like Aventurine, just from playing him, feels like you kind of don't really need any other sustainers because he just refreshes his shield so often. It just
And that's a good point to bring up. He does refresh his shield often if you're running follow-up characters or if you're getting attacked a lot. If you're not running follow-up characters, he's gonna be nerfed insanely. And if you're not getting hit a lot, which is one way for him to build his stacks on his follow-up and to re-get the shield and shit, nah.
Kind of feels like I feel like abundance just got kind of stomped on, at least for end game content. I think for like overworld, and I think even for like golden gears and stuff, that can be okay, just depending on what you run and like what you're doing. But even
it's all situational. Everything is situational, especially in turn-based games like this. Everything is situational. A 4-star, an abundance, whoever can be viable in the necessary situation.
and then it's like golden
Or
gears, you
team
still need
comp.
over HP, right? You need shield. My first impressions of Aventurine is that he's really good. I was not expecting him to be this crazy. I was expecting him to be
If you have Hua Fushuan already, he's probably an easy skip. But for me, since I have 0 sustainment or 0 shielders, he's looking like a pretty good golden boy at the moment. But
like,
also,
super strong.
I don't have Topaz and Dr. Ratio, so I'm having this internal battle like, holy shit. Man, am I going to go broke again and then have to build another character and not even be able to use him to his full potential? Damn.
I didn't expect to go into MOC 12 and just not take damage the entire time. Yeah, guys, it might be over for abundance characters. I don't know. Goodbye, abundance. You're gone forever. Sorry, she looks so sad about it. I feel kind of bad. Nah, it's fine. This game's easy. You can pull for whoever you guys want, but I think he's pretty good. I think he's a pretty solid character. It's one of those things where if you
pull for whoever you want, at the end of the day, pull for whoever you want, pull for favorites, pull for who makes you happy, but if you can't complete content, you have no one to blame but yourself.
You have
stop blaming CCs for you pulling on someone and not being able to complete content.
I feel like you still can benefit from Aventurine. And if you have Japard, you benefit from Aventurine. Whereas if you had Aventurine, you don't really benefit from Japard. And if you have Aventurine, you do benefit from Fushuan in certain scenarios, but it's not like universal. I feel like this guy is universally good. I guess the only characters that he really has like anti-synergy with at the moment are like Jingliu and Blade. Because like my wife needs to suck HP from her teammates, which means that they're slowly losing HP over time. But honestly, if you kill fast enough, it doesn't even really matter because he has shield. So like they're not going to be in killing range. It's only 4% HP per attack. This guy wants
Blade and Jingliu are terrible synergy, obviously, since they drain HP. And Aventurine is not giving you HP. He's only giving a shield.
HP though, so I can understand.
So let's say your shield is broken and you have 100 HP,
this video's going
you're still
on
going
way
to get
too
KO'd.
long. I think he's really good. Oh, also Acheron works with him because he can apply a debuff, but
all right, well, shoot, I'm not going to keep this too long. Yeah, shouts out to Brax. Let me get some final thoughts. Aventurine, good for free to play. He seems extremely free to play friendly, especially since you don't need his light cone. You can bet on almost any other light cone, and the ones that Braxophone stated. Yeah, he's looking pretty good for a sustainment option. Shout out to Brax for his early access and letting people react to his video. That's it. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.